What's up YouTube, this is Ian's World 219 coming at you with my first YouTube video ever. Making YouTube videos isn't really something that piqued my interest before, I've never really done it, but at the end of the day I've watched boxing religiously for the last 20 years now, competed at an amateur level, and I feel like it's my due diligence as a die-hard boxing fan to at least give my insight on this, to at least try to shed a little more light on this because in my opinion it's one of the most blatant forms of favoritism and corruption that you're ever going to see in the sport. Alright, so let's get into it. Up into the 9th round, the fight was ultra competitive. Although I would say I was giving Roach even the edge up into that point. Felt that he was showing a high activity level and his jab efficiency was dominating the exchanges. It was definitely efficiently disrupting Davis's rhythm. He had a great defensive strategy and his defensive maneuvers made it really challenging for Davis to land his signature power shots consistently. Had him second guessing all night, and his counterpunching capitalized on Davis's missed punches and just effectively countered over and over and over again, utilized his own scoring opportunities. Now, at a certain point in the 9th round, you may have noticed Davis took a knee, okay? And this part right here is we're going to explain straight from Davis's mouth why he takes this knee, and then we'll get back to it.
Tank Eric Blum from DailyMail.com. First off, your coach just said, can you confirm, did you get your hair done 2 days before the fight?
Yeah. I ran water over it today, but I must ain't do it enough.
Can you describe what the feeling was like in the ring? And was it to get the towel out, to get the burn out of your eyes, or what was going on? And
I didn't want to get caught. I didn't want to get caught while my eyes was burning, and you can get knocked out like that. So I'd rather take the knee than my eyes was burning, and you can get knocked out.
So I'd rather take the knee than,
But I didn't really know that you can get disqualified for that. Or when you start counting, I'm like, what the hell? But I don't know. It's cool.
All right, so we just heard it from Davis. He says that his eyes were burning from the hair grease. He couldn't see, he blatantly says it. I took a knee, and I just find it kind of funny how the journalists, they all laugh along with Gervonta Davis as he explains that he didn't know he could get disqualified for doing that, for taking the knee and running over to his corner and having his corner wipe down his face. Come on, let's have some integrity here. It's ridiculous, dude. You've been a high-level boxer for many years. You've been boxing since you were a kid. Don't tell me, dude, that you didn't know you couldn't stop the fight and run to your corner to have them wipe down your face. I mean, this is actually the thing I have the biggest problem with. The whole not ruling a knockdown thing, whatever, okay? But in boxing, anything can happen. And for you to do that, it's so blatantly illegal. I mean, this is a possible disqualification or at very minimum a point deduction. According to boxing rules, unauthorized corner intervention can result in a warning or point reduction, even disqualification, if it gives an unfair advantage. If a referee notices this is happening, typically they pause the fight, warn the corner, or even penalize the fighter, none of which happened. And it definitely gave him an unfair advantage, right? I mean, this is no different than if he had a cut on his brow and his face was leaking blood and blood was getting in his eyes and he couldn't see. We just seen this recently, big upset that comes to mind, Sebastian Fondura versus Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu got a bad cut on his brow, and man, it changed the entire course of the fight, right? Entire course of the fight. You didn't see Tim Tszyu run into his corner and, having his corner man, calling illegal timeouts, having his corner man throw Vaseline on him and wiping his face, because he can't do that. It's boxing, anything can happen, and these are the kind of things that change the entire outcome of a fight. It is not Lamont Roach's fault that you had hair grease in your hair that was getting into your eyes. Hey, it's just your bad, right? It's completely not his fault. Who are you to think that the fight can just stop because your eyes are burning? I mean, this is just something that's really an issue with boxing. So, it's just an issue where these big time A-side fighters, they got the referees making all the calls in their favor. They got the announcement team just glazing them, midway through the broadcast, when arguably you could have had Roach winning, they're saying it's a moral victory for him. Basically, it's just a foregone conclusion that this guy has no chance of getting a decision on the card. Just because it's like, I don't know, it's such a weird thing where boxing is almost like it's the only sport I can think of that you watch and you're like, hey, that guy won, but he probably is not going to get the decision because he didn't win convincingly enough and he's not the favorite or the big money fighter. And here's another thing I just thought of. Look at Steve Willis. Like, you're trying to tell me that this guy, the way he be watching these fights with his fucking eyes popping out of his head, he missed this call. Both of them, too, he missed. Get a good look at him. Like, seriously. All right, guys. So I'd say it's safe to say Willis definitely seen it. You know, it wasn't a matter of bad judgment or him making a bad call. He knew exactly what it was. He was just showing favoritism to Davis, the big money guy. I mean, I'd say it's pretty clear in my opinion. This guy has been in enough major world title bouts as the official to not be making amateur level mistakes, especially stuff that's that rudimentary and basic. So, one thing I found interesting that I should add to all this is what Lamont Roach shares here in the post-fight press conference, and I think it is kind of really telling to the mentality that some of these guys have, and it's something really to think about here.
That maybe you wouldn't get the nod.
Y'all know something funny? When we was talking in like the 12th round, I think the 12th or 11th, we was talking shit, right? But he like, you ain't gonna win. I said, shit, why not? What you talking about? He like, they ain't gonna give it to you. He like, they ain't gonna give it to you. I was like, oh, is that right? So, you know, that's how boxing works.
So, I mean, take that however you guys want it. My interpretation of it is it kind of leaves a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth hearing it. It's like, man, at the end of the day, these two guys just got done with an ultra competitive fight. I have a feeling that Davis knows he was getting edged a little bit. I mean, Lamont, he had a lot of success against Gervonta. He had a high work rate. I'd say a higher work rate than Davis, an effective jab. He had a solid defense. He landed more punches, stayed active throughout the fight. His counter-punching ability and his ability to avoid Davis's big shots kept it real competitive. Say his stamina literally allowed him to outperform Davis later in the rounds. So it's like, for all that to have happened, and then for at the end of the fight you to go up to this guy instead of being like, hey, good fight, man, appreciate it, we'll run it back. You tell him, you ain't gonna win. Nah, you're not gonna win. Just kind of like making sure he knows. Like, it's a little fucker thing to do, in my opinion. Like, oh, no, you ain't gonna win. It's rigged in my favor. You didn't know that? Like, come on, bro. This shit is, it's just not cool. It's just such a shame. So, yeah, take that how you will. My opinion about that was I just thought it was kind of weird. Alright, in conclusion and wrapping this whole thing up, we got one last very, very interesting thing to look at that has just come out from the New York State Athletic Commission in the last 2 or 3 days. Basically, they've released an article. It's all over the web. They've basically said that they're looking into overturning the official ruling of this fight. They go on to say that during the round in question, when this happened in the 9th round, the commission actually put out a request for the replay video, but there was a technical issue preventing the commission from receiving it within the allotted amount of time. NYSAC stated, therefore, the referee's in-ring decision was relied upon and the fight continued. However, they go on to say, NYSAC's review could lead to an overturning of Willis's decision, altering Davis's record and Roach's standing in the division. It's unknown when the NYSAC will announce its final decision. Wow, this would be big, guys. This would be really, really big. Say ultimately this is the right decision by the New York State Athletic Commission. I think this looks good for the sport. It looks good for the sport's integrity. And it's to be determined, however, if this is just posturing on the New York State Athletic Commission's part. So we'll have to see how much follow-through they have on this and where this ends up leading to. There's another article I'd seen where now Lamont Roach's team has petitioned for this to go through, and they've petitioned for the fight to be overturned and looked at further. So it's definitely interesting developments going on here. I mean, I would say objectively it shouldn't be too hard of a determination to come to. In this video alone, we've pretty transparently proven that that was a knockdown. You know, the information's already out there in the ether with Gervonta Davis just admitting, hey, I took a knee, I couldn't see. So shouldn't be too hard of a decision to come to. I wouldn't imagine there would be much controversy to it. I mean, this is basic rudimentary stuff. So we'll see how it looks for Gervonta Davis, his career moving forward. If this does get overturned and he gets a loss on his record, this guy's going to survive. He's a massive pay-per-view attraction. He's Tank Davis, for crying out loud. He's still going to do mega numbers. He's still going to be a smash hit pay-per-view boxer. He will go on unaffected. Sure, it will be a little bit of a hitch in the road for him to lose the 0 on his record. He's going to be all right, guys. And for Lamont Roach, on the other hand, he's going to become even more of a bigger household name than he's already become. This guy has put himself on the map with this draw. And if this thing gets overturned and he gets the win on his record, man, it's just going to be even that much bigger. I could definitely see that being a major selling point for one of his next fights. I could definitely imagine people out there in the public saying, hey, Lamont Roach is fighting tonight. It's the guy who beat Gervonta Davis. So, I mean, I would hope if this thing does get overturned, and even if it doesn't get overturned, we get the rematch. But, yeah, we'll see what happens. Just want to thank everybody if you stuck all around to the end, and just like to hear your thoughts on this matter, what you guys thought. And hope I got kind of the gist of everything I was trying to get to. And with that, I'm signing off. Peace.